everybody. Welcome to Talking Heartland. This is a show where we recap the past seasons of Heartland, and we are on season 9, episodes 13, 14, and 15. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Michelle's here.
Hey everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. Busy time going on here, but always nice to watch some Heartland. Watch some Heartland. And season 9 has been very good to us. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like they've got a tiny little slump in these episodes, but it feels like it just sort of hit its stride like these last few seasons. It feels like they've just been on like a bit of a tear.
Yeah, and probably the best thing about these 3 episodes is probably Kevin McGarry. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say Kevin McGarry, and I would also say that it shocks me how much Tim is really,
Oh yeah,
he's been
that's
on the
true.
show for years and we've kind of loved and hated him at different times, but it feels like he's had a really solid season of just being a good guy. Like it feels like he's finally had some character development.
I think that working at Maggie's, that's it's good. It's mellowed him out.
Yeah.
I think so. All right, well, let's dive in. The first episode we're talking about is episode 13 called Risky Business, and it's Amy teams up with Cass to find a solution when Janice asks for help with her racehorse. The return of Janice forces Tim to reevaluate his current relationship. So overall, what do you think of this episode?
I thought this was a really interesting episode. It's always a tricky thing of bringing back an ex and sort of, especially when it's a relationship that's really popular. I imagine this is a really popular one, as with us anyway. So yeah, it was sort of a bit nervous because it felt like, oh, it'll be sort of, are we going to try and break these two up? So I was a bit nervous in that regard. And it felt so weird for Ty not to be in the episode. It's like, it feels so weird when one of the main cast, but particularly Ty, isn't in the episode. Feels like that never happens. Feels like that never happens.
Yeah, it's true. But we did get a lot of side characters this episode. I mean, Cassandra, obviously, Janice, you have Adam and Georgie, you've got Casey. There's a lot going on here in this one, which is fun.
Yeah, a lot of jumping around in these episodes.
How old is Jack supposed to be? Do we know at this point? Is he supposed to be like 60 something?
Yeah, I would guess that, but it is difficult because the actor is obviously is playing older than he actually is. Because I think him and Chris Potter are really close in age. So it does make it feels like they constantly tell him that he's old. And they're like, yeah, he's older, but he's not ancient in the way that the show sort of depicts him as sometimes.
Yeah, well, so I just did a Google, and according to the Google, it says Jack Bartlett, not actor Sean Johnson, has lived on the Heartland Ranch for his entire life, the place that belonged to his family for 6 generations. And they claim on here that he is 62, but I think that part of it is Sean Johnson, not, even though they say not actor. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. So Sean is 63 actually now currently. But I think that I think that's now the age that Jack's supposed to be, because now we're on season 15.
And Chris Potter's 61 as of now. So
really?
Yeah. Well, so they're really close in age.
It's just funny because they act like he is
80.
like a senior citizen, like 80. Like he can't handle a phone. He can't handle. So that's interesting that they do that. And Katie takes his phone and she managed, does she download the cat ringtone?
Yeah, she sort of messed around with it and changed the setting.
That was funny. I like
Yeah.
that. Also, Katie is very, very sly about getting lots of butter on her toast.
Yeah.
She licks it off.
Yeah, that's so weird. That's like a like weird kid thing.
Yeah. Well, my my little sister, when she was little, she would just like eat butter. It was so gross. We'd find her and we're like, why are you doing that? Stop it. You're just like eat a bar of butter.
Oh.
Yeah. Uh, so Janice is back and she's now in a relationship and she's married and she has a baby. And so that's kind of our the sort of the end of her that's sort of our closure with the character with this episode, I would think.
Yeah.
But he introduces her to Casey as his former business associate. Which I don't really understand why he would do that, because obviously he's had other relationships.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's what Casey says of like, why is it like they've both had relationships, they've both been married, like it's so weird and it's such a like sometimes he just acts like a teenager, like you're a grown man, like why?
Like, why are you making your life way more complicated than it needs to be?
Yeah.
And I liked when Casey says, if we do break up and you introduce me as your business associate, I will kill you.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. But Janice, her horse Danger is not performing the way they wanted him to. And they are considering putting him down. And because of this, they found out that he has Wobbler syndrome.
Yeah, another new one to me.
New one. Yeah. And I understand that would be hard to have diagnosed, but she's so rude to Cassandra.
Yeah, very rude. Yeah. Like she's just as qualified as Ty, as really any sort of,
Yeah.
vet. I mean, she's basically like running the veterinary clinic because Ty's nowhere to be found. Scott's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I mean, and she has the certification just because they give the diagnosis that you don't like. I mean, and I felt like she wasn't like rude in giving the diagnosis.
No. I feel like she
Yeah.
just wanted to like be thorough and do her job, and it felt like Janice was sort of knew what was coming and just sort of, was very Janice about it.
Yeah, and they're trying to build up in this season this kind of friendship between Cassandra and Amy, and I don't think it's really working that well.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem like, I just don't have that friendship chemistry.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have the sort of Jade and Georgie sort of dynamic. It feels like, it was so antagonistic at the beginning that they didn't really do the work to have a sort of natural shift. The way Georgie and Jade has. It feels like they realised in the writer's room that like Amy doesn't have a friend, and it's like, well, who do we have on our cast? Who can we give her? It would have been nice if they'd sort of brought some like oh god, the name escapes me, but like the woman that runs the extreme team, or like
like, Sandra, is this Sandra?
I think so. But like
something like that.
Yeah, like people like that. There's another sort of one that sort of works with Georgie. And it's like, well, Amy's sort of known these people her whole life, so why not bring someone like that in as opposed to having no explanation as to why her and Cass have suddenly become BFFs.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Too quick.
But so she's been feeling sick, Cassandra, and she takes a pregnancy test and she is pregnant. So this is going to be big news for Caleb. Uh, and at the end of the episode, Caleb finds a pregnancy test, but he thinks that Amy is the one that's pregnant.
Yeah.
Which you would be understandable in Amy's bathroom.
Yeah, but like, if you were to find a pregnancy test, would you pick it up and hold it for as long as? Does he not know how pregnancy tests work?
Right.
Like,
that's true.
just pee on that.
That's true. It was a different time. We weren't as germophobic then. So the best part about this episode, though, was actually, we should talk about the how cute was it to see Jack and Caleb having tea party with Katie?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It feels like those two are just total suckers when it comes to like the kids on these shows. Yeah, like the kids can get away with anything with them.
Yeah, and I've said it before, but I like the fact that they're not afraid on this show to have the men be softer and kinder and sweet and not necessarily the like macho kind of thing that you might expect from a cowboy show, which I appreciate.
I mean, yeah, if you were to go to any sort of other show and look at the sort of breakdown of a character like Caleb, like there's just a lot of toxic masculinity and sort of bravado in a character like that, whereas this show sort of strips that all away and he's sort of a bit of a goofball.
Yeah, I agree. And then we have that really awkward dinner with
when is it not awkward dinners in Heartland? Every time it's offended. Like,
do they ever not have awkward dinners? But I always think they look good. The dinners always, I'm like, there should be maybe there is a Heartland cookbook.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, Lisa's constantly cooking up like meals that I'm sure like get left halfway through because there's been something said. But it's like, did we ever actually finish a meal in this house?
So the best part about this episode, though, was between Adam and Georgie, and particularly the llamas. That was hilarious. Would you agree?
That was pretty funny. Yeah. Llamas are such weird animals. It's like, what's the point? What did he do?
So he's running for class president against Olivia. And I didn't understand why they had Olivia, why she would think it was a good idea to have her campaign be like next to Maggie's. Wouldn't you want to just be in the school?
Yeah, it's not really established that like all of the kids hang out at Maggie's, like
right.
Not a thing.
Yeah, right, exactly. And
I think maybe just that they don't have a skill set.
Right. Yeah, and that's true. I don't think they've ever shown a school, maybe in the first season.
I think in the first season with Amy, like literally the first couple of episodes. But yeah, we don't see a school in this show.
Yeah, and she comes up to Georgie and gives her an Olivia cookie and is trying to pretend to be friends. But there's this whole scene with the llamas where the llama spits on Adam. He's grossed out. Wish you would be. I would be grossed out. And because llamas smell too. They're just weird. They are weird animals. And so then so Georgie gives Olivia access to her public photo folder, and she forgets that it has the Adam getting spit on by the llama video. And I agree with everybody in the show that I think that would only help your cause in a student election, not hurt.
Yeah.
But Adam is furious with Georgie at first, very furious, and thinks that he's ruined because now it's on YouTube. But they work to switch it around and make it a positive instead of a negative. And that's Janice who gives Georgie the idea. Everyone likes a long shot. Maybe Adam could use the video to his advantage. So that's that is definitely modern day viral campaigning.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so he makes it a funny video, and then he wins as Llama Boy is his name. Llama Boy.
Yeah.
It was funny. I mean, what do you think about Adam and Georgie? Do you think that they have chemistry?
I don't think they have chemistry. And Adam seems to be a little bit stiff in the beginning. He is sort of warming up a little bit. Just in terms of like the actor. But yeah, I just don't see the chemistry. And it's hard when it's kids as well. It's like, yeah, it just feels a little. It feels a little. Normally, when you're sort of watching, oh God, I forget the name of the actress, but the actress that plays Georgie, she's so natural.
Alicia.
Yeah, she's so natural, and like all of her scenes with Amy and Lou and Jack, and it does feel a little bit off when she has scenes with
Well,
Adam.
I think it hurts because she had cute chemistry with Steven.
Yeah.
And then he's just been, just left, which is frustrating. We do get some nice moments for Tim in this episode, as you were saying. So he's considering, he had turned down a job offer in Texas to run a rodeo school down there. And he had turned it down because he didn't want things to mess up with Casey.
Mhm.
But then he's talking with Janice, and Janice says that you would never have turned down something like that for me, and that you really should consider it. And then Tim says, yeah, you're brave. That's one thing I always loved about you, which was sweet.
Yeah.
So now he's reconsidering the job offer. And yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Casey's such an interesting character. Of like, I really like them together, but they do strike me as a little bit of like the right people at the wrong time. Because Casey is just sort of coming into like her independence and living on her own. Excuse me, living on her own. And it's not that she doesn't love Tim and want to be in a relationship with him. It's that she's just getting used to being on her own, and that sort of. I think there's not enough of that on TV of a relationship sort of takes over the whole character. Whereas Casey's sort of pushing back against that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that was How I Met Your Mother for a long time, was the right relationship at the wrong time, and then they ruined it.
And they ruined it.
But it was good for a while. All right. Well, what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
I'll give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, it had a lot going on. It really
Yeah.
did, but it still somehow felt a little filler. So I think that's a good 7.5 for the tea party scene alone. We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Okay, so then we have episode 14, and it is No Regrets. And Georgie's school project on Val Stanton inspires her to take a risk with Adam. And yeah, so this one you have, Ty is returned. You've got more drama going on with Caleb and Ty and Amy and everything. What overall did you think about this episode?
I liked the episodes. I particularly liked the sort of Mitch sort of story of the episode, and I do miss when we have Amy working with horses. So I liked that she had this whole thing with Maverick. I will say I hate this sort of pregnancy thing of like the mix up of who's actually pregnant and the sort of like that is such a trope in TV that like you've seen it a million times, so it didn't particularly work for me.
Right.
But yeah, I sort of liked everything else.
Yeah, and I did, at least I think it was I mean, I at least like the fact that Amy tells Ty, you cannot treat me like a fragile creature if and when I do get pregnant. I appreciate that, because that's also a huge trope, I guess, that's kind of grown worthy.
Yeah, it was a good test run for them anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, do you kind of wonder if they were planning on bringing Kevin McGarry back when they filmed his initial episode?
It feels like they have, yeah.
It's weird though, because I mean, I don't know. It was such a weird date. It was such a weird moment. The fact that the way that he tried to kiss her or the way that he kissed her was weird. It was like they were walking and he just like lunged at her.
Yeah, like mid stride, he just sort of leaned in.
Yeah, it wasn't like that we're having a moment, we're staring at each other's eyes, we're getting really close, and then it wasn't like that. It was just kind of like, I'm gonna lunge at you.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, it feels like they did want him back, but I do think that scene was really badly sort of, I wouldn't say written, but sort of executed.
Handled. Yeah, I agree. So you have Ty is back, and there is this jerk on the road who almost hits the horses, gets them all upset, and we so we find out that who is the weird, I forget who's the jerk in the car. Let's see.
Yeah, we don't find out who that is. That's just like a random jerk.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. Anyway, but Mitch helps him with the horses, and so that's kind of our first helping Jack with the horses. And so that's when they first meet. There's this gate post that is out, and so then Mitch starts to help Jack because Jack has fired Caleb because Caleb is so like unreliable. Yeah,
the 100th time Jack's fired Caleb. Like, he's so weird in this episode of how clingy he is with Ty.
Yeah, he really is. And yeah, his advice that supposedly, well, don't have a conversation with Amy about being pregnant because she may have a flash mob waiting. Right? What?
He's so weird.
And so then Georgie picks Val for her career project.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounded like there was a miscommunication, that Val thought that Georgie was going to be like doing a business of some kind, where it seemed like Georgie was expecting just to do like a profile.
Yeah.
Because Val said, well, you haven't implemented any of these business ideas. And I'm like, was that the assignment?
Yeah, I think Georgie wanted it to be more personal, of like, how did you sort of cope with all of the sort of your personal struggles and sort of overcome them to be successful in this kind of business. But then it sort of turns out that Georgie isn't even interested in that kind of business. I feel like maybe she sort of looked at the success and sort of thought that that's what she wanted, and sort of, through sort of the conversation with Lisa, realised that that's not the type of business that she wants. But yeah, Val is so disappointed.
Yeah, because she tells her that she wants the juicy bits about what it's like to run a business, but then she gets kind of, well, I guess, overwhelmed. And we learn about that Val has a Mr. X. Mr. X drove me crazy until I got to know him better. His stubbornness were actually determination and loyalty. And then so Georgie says, well, what happened? Nothing happened. I waited too long. Mr. X moved on with someone else. So, yeah. Of course, Jack is obviously Mr. X, which is really cute.
Yeah, Lisa loves that.
Yeah. So then we have Amy working with Maverick, and that is Mitch's horse. Basically, Maverick has abandonment issues because he left. And I tell you, before I started covering Heartland, I would have thought this was an absolutely ridiculous plotline. I don't know, like but the way they sell it, it's I mean, I just didn't know anything about horses, so what do I know? But it was really cute.
Yeah, like the most emotional part of these 3 episodes was that horse chasing the car.
Yeah, it really was.
When I was watching that. That's the magic of the show.
Yeah, and he's gonna be heading up to Fort Mac, and like it felt like as soon as he said that, the horse was like, oh, like, oh no,
I've been abandoned again.
And so there is a point where Maverick bucks Amy off of the horse, and so Ty is like very upset about this, rushes her away, and she's like, what is the problem? And and then she finally tells Ty that she's not pregnant, and then Ty says to Caleb, you might want to talk to Cass about that pregnancy test. And then you see Caleb running away. That was good. And then let's see here. Okay, so then we have a scene with Georgie and Adam thinks there's like a moment, they're cozy studying, and he tries to kiss her and she turns away. So it's awkward.
Yeah, just the way that it was filmed as well was so awkward. I thought, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way he sat there.
Yeah, for her first kiss, I can understand being very nervous and very hesitant.
Yeah, for sure.
And so she's debating about what to do, and she talks to Val, and Val says, don't live your life with regrets. And so then she also talks with Amy, and Amy tells about her first kiss in the 4th grade, and that her hair got stuck in the braces. So
I feel like TV shows have such like weird first kiss stories. It's like there's always braces involved. There's always like teeth clashing. There's always like weird things.
And I didn't know that many people that had elementary school first kisses. I don't feel like that's that common in real life.
No.
So then you have Georgie talking to Val and saying, I want my horse business to be more like Heartland.
Oh, so the look on Val's face.
Yeah.
Pure disgust.
Yeah. And I did like when you have Jack watching Adam and Georgie studying.
That was so funny.
Because I certainly would never have been allowed to study with a boy in my room.
Yeah.
My parents would not have allowed that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe if my sister was also in the room, because we shared a room when we were younger, maybe they would have allowed that, but that would be they wouldn't have allowed it. Certainly when I was Georgie's age, no way. But yeah, he's kind of watching over them, which was funny. And then Mitch starts to work with Maverick. And yeah, when Maverick races after Mitch, I wrote down big swelling music. Maverick loves Mitch.
Yeah, it was so cute.
It was really
Yeah,
cute.
definitely get like teared up at that bit. And I can't believe the thing that gets me.
It was really good. So then we get a kiss between Amy and Ty, and she says, "Yeah, when I'm pregnant, you can't bubble wrap me." So
Yeah,
it was good,
considering what a job is, like absolutely not.
right? Yeah, and you have to live your life. Like you can't. I don't know. I mean, I say that, and my mom for all of her pregnancies, uh, she had to go on full bed rest, so
Yeah,
that was
yeah, same
brutal.
with same with my mom. She's diabetes, so she was like full
Mm,
bed rest in the hospital the entire time.
oof, it's rough.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's certain, but for somebody like Amy, she should be able to
Hmm.
live a pretty normal life.
Yeah.
So all right, well, what would you give this one to 10?
I would give it an 8.
Yeah, I agree. I think just for at least for Maverick, I mean, what they do
Yeah.
with these horses on this show, it is
Yeah, so
unbelievable.
impressive. Yeah, so good.
It's so good. All right, well, let's talk about episode 15. And this is Making a Move. And it is Lou's return from New York does not go smoothly when she must deal with 2 new additions to her world. Firstly, the food truck parked across the street from Maggie's, and secondly, the hot new Heartland ranch hand no one told her about. And I mean, Kevin McGarry is so handsome. He's just so good looking. It's unbelievable. And
Yeah, it's crazy.
he has the bluest eyes I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah. Like the whole face structure is perfect.
Yeah.
Like I remember, I said I didn't see like his early ones. I saw the God, what was it? The Winterfest movie where he's like plays like a fantasy author.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, like
Winter Love Story, the most boring
yeah,
title.
yeah,
ever.
that was so boring. But such a good film, and he's so
Yeah.
good in it. Like that
hmm
was the thing that I saw him in, and I was like, oh my, like perfect for Hallmark. You know, he sort of gets what he's in. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of these actors don't understand what they're in, but he gets it. And yeah, he's perfect for this show. I was so excited to get to like the Kevin episodes.
Yeah, I mean, because I've been waiting because I knew
Yeah,
that he
me
was
too.
on the show. And then his
Yeah,
intro was so weird that I was like, wait a minute here. And
yeah. It says when he's still in the show, like we better see some character development.
yeah. I mean, at least we now know that Maverick loves Mitch.
Yeah,
He's got something. That's a much better start.
yeah,
Much better start.
yeah.
And he seems like a way better ranch hand than Caleb.
Yeah, and sometimes shows do this where they have like they introduce a character and then the next episode they're like completely different. And I guess it's
Mhm.
just the writers sort of. I mean, the
That's
worst one,
true.
the worst one is probably Gossip Girl. Like the God, what's his name? Chuck in the first episode is like awful, like completely awful. He's not as the best character going forward, but the sort of difference in how awful he is in the pilot to like the second episode of the show, it's like so different, and you could obviously tell that the writers have said, "Yeah, we went too far there. We pulled back a little bit." But yeah, sometimes that happens in shows.
Yeah, definitely. I think of Dawson's Creek, Pacey.
Mm.
He changed a lot
Yeah,
from
yeah.
yeah.
Oh my god, I was actually googling that show today, like just looking at art and looking at scenes. I would do a rewatch of that show. Absolutely.
Well, so this episode, we have him getting used to working at the ranch, and I like Amy saying, "Just wait till you meet my sister, the Queen of Lists," and he knows her as the spreadsheet queen.
Spreadsheet girl, yeah.
And we also, so Jade wants her own place, which Jade is 19.
Yeah, I would say yeah, 19.
19, which I mean, I was totally that person. I was the one who wanted my own place, my own, I mean, had roommates and stuff, but I was just ready because when I started college, my mom was pregnant. And so everything at home was very baby, 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 baby. And that was the last thing that, 18-year-old Rachel wanted to deal with. So I couldn't wait. My dad actually, for my birthday, when I turned 18, my dad wrote me a Declaration of Independence.
That's so cute.
Yeah, because I was so ready. And we have the Bandit Burger. I mean, from what I've seen of Maggie's food, I don't blame the townspeople for heading to the Bandit Burger.
Yeah, it's so funny because I was thinking, like, if the roles were reversed and it was Lou with the burger van, can you imagine how insufferable she would be?
Oh my gosh,
Like,
yeah. Yeah,
like
it
so
would be the
single-minded, like all that exists is Maggie's, and she didn't really change much when she took over Maggie's.
least that we've heard about. I mean,
No.
Tim tried to change stuff. Remember, he added
Oh
the
my God,
TVs
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, did not
Which
go over well.
made total sense, really. I mean,
Yeah. They put cash machine in it, like God forbid.
yeah, oh yeah, an ATM thing too. And there's let's see here. So Adam's not texting her back, and there's a photo of Adam and Olivia, and that makes Georgie upset. And Olivia makes the extreme team, and her mom is visiting Heartland because she wants her to work on Budget Buster to help Olivia, but she uses Budget Buster to manipulate and try to convince Amy to work with helping Olivia, which makes Georgie upset.
Yeah, like she outright sort of blackmails Amy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to sort of Amy and Georgie had that conversation really quickly because Georgie was so like, unreasonable and sort of awful. Yeah, Amy was in such a like impossible situation.
Yeah, and Olivia is just so difficult.
Yeah,
that
I
it was
don't understand what they're doing with this character. I don't
yeah,
get it.
because she's so rude and she's so mean, and yet then they try to make us feel sorry for her because oh, well, she didn't really earn her spot on the extreme team, and it's like, well, that doesn't make us feel sorry for her. That just makes us feel more.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to do the sort of the poor rich kid thing. And they did that with Ashley to much more sort of success.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this just isn't working because it's like 1 minute they want us to feel sorry for her, and then she does something kind of really, really mean. And then the sort of when she makes another appearance in the following episode, it's the sort of same sort of pattern over and over again. It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want us to feel with this character?
She's just beyond catty, which was what you would say with Ashley. Like, she's just really mean.
Yeah, really mean.
So then you have Lou coming back, and she finds Mitch's trailer at the Dude Ranch. And that was a funny, that which is like, you is the spreadsheet queen. That was funny. I like that.
Yeah, I really don't understand why nobody can live in one of the dude ranches. Like, why
Yeah,
are people why is this poor guy living in a trailer when all of these dude ranches are empty?
well, and also I can see why you'd want to have I don't think the dude ranch places have like kitchens and stuff like that. So I can see why you'd want to have your own space, but it's not like this is in a city where there's no land. Like there's tons of land. Like surely they can find some place for him to have his tiny little trailer.
Yeah, yeah. Or they can like arrange that, some of his pay goes towards like having meals at the house. So like,
Yeah. And there's acres of
yeah,
land. This tiny
yeah,
little trailer. Because it's not like it needs to be like Caleb's trailer where he has covering and deck and kind of it's more of a location as opposed to something that's moving around. Speaking of Caleb's trailer, so Jade is now the most recent homeowner of the renter of the trailer. That thing has gotten
by
so
this
much
show's
use.
yeah, by this show's end, everyone will have lived in that trailer. So it just completely falls apart.
Yeah, it really has. But that seems like a perfect spot for Jade. So she's having a party, and Georgie wants to go to the party, but Lou is hesitant about it. And I don't know. It's interesting because after Georgie ran away, I can understand why she would be both more lenient and more strict, both sides.
Yeah.
Like on one hand, give her a chance to prove herself. On the other hand, she has shown herself to not be trustworthy. So what are you going to do? I mean, it is Jade, but Jade is older. So the people at the party are going to be older. I can see where Lou's coming from here.
Yeah, I think that's like the main issue for me of like there is an age difference there and it's a small age difference, but it's big when you're that age. When you're talking about 15-year-old kids versus, 18-year-olds.
Big
That's a
difference.
different that's a big difference. But yeah, it's sometimes Georgie really sort of pushes for things that you're like, oh kid, you're so like, single-minded,
Yeah.
you sort of forget what happened literally 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And I understand because like I said, I really wanted my freedom so much during that age. You feel like you have the knowledge and maturity to do all these things that you want to do. And you probably do. Most 15-year-olds would probably be fine if given that thing, but there's still so much to learn and grow. And she does agree to allow her to go, but she has to be back by 10:30, which I thought was a pretty good compromise.
Yeah, that's very reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be an issue if there wasn't the sort of running away to Vancouver thing hanging over her.
So Tim tells both Amy and Lou about the job offer in Texas. He's considering going, and that's obviously hard news for them to hear. And then he also talks to Jade, and he's trying to get Jade to kind of move things up, but Jade's like, no, I need to calm things down a little bit in order to pay my rent and everything. And so that's kind of frustrating, but you're right. It was a pretty tender episode for Tim.
Yeah. I feel like for him and Jade, they don't communicate very well, which is understandable. They haven't known each other for very long, and they're both fairly combative. Sorry. So yeah, they sort of have a work in progress type relationship, but I was a bit confused about what exactly he expects from her and what she expects from him. They've not really established, what the goal is for Jade. Are they wanting to sort of put it in competitions or go on some sort of tour, or what's the plan? You can't expect Jade to sort of put her life on hold and sort of, she's ready to move out, but she has to pay bills, much like Tim has to pay bills. I felt like
Yeah.
he was being a little bit unfair.
Yeah, and it's hard because I think you have so many different competing demands on your time and on your effort, and it's a risk getting more and more involved in something like rodeo. But he's trying to get her to take more of that risk, and so we'll see where it goes with that. But he can definitely be helpful to her there. And it's one thing if this job in Texas, if it was something really new, or something really important that could only be done in Texas, but he has a rodeo school.
Yeah, it was
So
sort
there's
of
no reason.
I was confused as to why there was so much traction in like him being a rodeo teacher when he's literally had one success being Jade, and she
Right.
hasn't done anything yet. So I'm like, what exactly are the results that a college and or a school in Texas are seeing?
Right. That's true. That's true. So Georgie sees Adam kissing Olivia at the party. So that was pretty, again, Olivia's the worst.
Yeah,
And then she apologizes later on about Adam,
yeah, and she's
but
not sorry.
which doesn't really make sense because it's not like Adam and Georgie are actually exclusive or dating. So she technically didn't actually do anything wrong. It's just if you were going to say somebody did something wrong, it would be more Adam.
Yeah,
But
it feels like Olivia saw something that was Georgie's and wanted to take it.
yeah.
That's sort of what it felt like, but yeah, it just feels like they're setting up a love triangle that I'm not here for.
Right. Yeah. And then Lou talks to Mitch about the food truck, and then a complaint gets lodged about the food truck and the potable water, I guess.
Yeah.
And so the food truck is gone. They get rid of it. I don't know why they can't just move to another location or what. And I don't think being in front of Maggie's would really be the best place for your food truck, because you want to be in a place where people aren't already eating.
Yeah.
You want to be in a place like in front of a brewery is a great place because people are just drinking. So people can, or something like that, or a grocery store, or people are gonna be hungry. That's the kind of place that you want to have your food truck. You don't want to have it in front of another restaurant.
Yeah, it's sort of weird, and it feels like any sort of food truck, we maybe have one, but you do have ones that sort of pop up. They never stick around for very long. They are sort of fads. They are very, some of them expensive and sort of novelty that sort of wears off.
Right.
People don't stick with those types of places. But yeah, it just feels like Lou was losing her mind over people coming in and sitting with outside food. God forbid.
Well, yeah, and if she is threatened by this competition, she should make her own line of burgers for Maggie's. What's
Exactly.
stopping
Yeah.
her?
I feel like that's something that old Lou would do.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so she helps Mitch get the land for his trailer over by where Jade is, Caleb's trailer. And they have a little bit of long hand holding, which is definitely a favorite kind of trope of mine. I love it when it's like, ooh, our hands just touched.
Yeah. Just like a full shot of lingering hand.
Yeah, lingering hands. But we find out that Tim turns down the offer and he says no job is worth missing out on family.
Mhm.
So there you go. This one, what do you say, 1 to 10?
Yeah, I would give it an 8. I did like the sort of build up of the Lou Mitch thing. It feels like it's a slow burn. I'm definitely going to get invested in.
Which would be really nice because with Peter,
Mhm.
we didn't get very much build up
No.
at all. And so it was just like they were in a relationship all of a sudden. And and so if we can get a slow build, that'll be fun. And yeah, we'll see. So there we go. We did it. We reviewed these 3 episodes. We're almost done season 9. Next week will be our final episode of season 9. So let us know what you think. If you're listening, what you think of these 3 episodes. Would love to hear your thoughts. And I guess, do we say what we'd give 1 to 10 on this one? I think we forgot.
Yeah, 8.
An 8. Yeah, me too. So, all right. Well, let us know what you think of these episodes. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And Michelle, how can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And make sure you're following the podcast on Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That helps us so much. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And please check out the Patreon and the merch store. We have Heartland inspired merch on there, so check it out. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.